So now that GamerGate has been defeated, DEI and Sweet Baby Games are on the run. We have two new challengers from within our own camps. One of them, a guy that wears more leather than a cum dungeon bouncer, and we have crackhead Amy Winehouse telling us how we can't enjoy our fucking video games.
Patriotism is dead. There's only rebels and tyrants now.
A world ready for the righteous and the pure to inherit.
Don't believe in syringes. No, I still got my saber, Reverend. Didn't turn it into no plowshare either.
I'm taking over this territory.
So I'm gonna be 100% honest. This culture war shit kind of makes me want to. So let me get into this. How could I get into this without sounding like a giant asshole? So GoonerGate is the big on the rise now, led by Fist and Melanie Mack. So first off, video games, it's an entertainment industry. It's a fucking hobby. And the stuff you do in video games doesn't necessarily equal to sin in the real world. Things done in a video game, it's not real. It's simulated entertainment. Okay. And these two have their panties in a twist over this. Melanie Mack saw someone's take on The Descendant. She didn't actually play the fucking game, but she went on a 33-minute fucking tirade about how us gamers are a bunch of perverted, degenerate gooners, and that we're 24/7 beating our sausages and spanking our clams. But my question to her is, then why does it require two hands to work a control? I mean, if that was the case, if gamers, if some, now true, are there porn games out there? Yeah, sure. But you usually have to go out of your way to get that form of content. But to get back on track, if that was such a prevalent thing in gaming, especially among men, they wouldn't have a two-handed controller. You feel me? Because you would have one to work the controller and one to write, of course. And the thing I find rich about this is these two are coming off as these moral Puritans. Now, their farts stink just like everyone else, and I'm going to be talking about some alleged drama that I've heard through the grapevine. Now, us degenerate gooners, perverts, if you will, unlike some people here, like Fist, allegedly tried to groom a 14-year-old. Yeah, that's a rumor and allegation that's going around, and had rough outings with a girlfriend because he was allegedly violent or something. That's just rumors. And this one here is divorced while she posts thirst trap pictures, in yoga pants and other stuff, and she has an army of simps that she teases and grifts off of. So GoonerGate, it's two grifters who probably have ad rolls all over their shit. Now, I have uBlock Origin, so they don't get a dime of monetization out of me if I'm watching their content. To be fair, Fist is funny. You know, he scripts some good shit. But the thing I found interesting about this, and I mentioned this before with Melanie Mack, is she's calling out all the degeneracy in video game, yet she replaces porn with corn. Now, if I was to make a moral or idealistic crusade, I'd want to call out the specific things like, again, the adult industry and porn, using those words specifically. But she has the knowledge and forethought to change out porn with corn to go along with the community guidelines of YouTube, which indicates me that she's putting monetization and profit over her own moral crusade and that of Jesus Christ that she says she's all about in Christianity, um, while having uh, loaded with tattoos, a choker, shitty jewelry, and 5 pounds of makeup and eyeliner. Again, she has hordes of simps that will defend her honor, and I think Razor Fist, he might be authentic. But I will mention one person. So I'm not here crapping on all of like the Gooner Gator. Um, Shad from Shadiversity, he put forward his opinion, even said that beauty is a thing that should be displayed and that beauty is very interesting, a very important thing for storytelling and idealism, and even mentioned nudity being a thing. Now, Shad was able to give his point, and I saw his take on Twitter, and he did so from a point where he was calling out the stuff that he didn't agree with, like 100%, and he specified the difference between video games, movies, and art and content versus porn, which so he was able to articulate his opinion and point without condemning um, all male gamers as a bunch of, and some female gamers, mostly males, as being gaming like gooning degenerate perverts. And they have a right to say that, but one thing a lot of gamers are sick of is having a bunch of self-righteous people who again have their own skeletons in their closet trying to dictate to us, trying to dictate and control the content of our hobby and the content we consume. Now, I as a Christian, I have issues too with various aspects of gaming, but it's not my job to police the video game industry or video game, or it's not my job to police what's in books and movies, even though there's things in books, movies, and video games that I detest. There's Trench Crusade, for example, which I think goes a step too far in fictionalizing Christianity and Jesus and the Crusades. Um, Now, I'm not going to buy that game. I'm not going to support it, but it's unfortunately a thing under freedom of speech. Now, I will add a caveat to this. Now, if someone was forcing me to play that or forcing me to engage in, apostasy and heresy, you're damn right. It would get violent. Things would be broken. Uh, but again, it's a very shitty sounding libertarian angle I'm taking. But to wrap this up, the whole GoonerGate thing is just prudes taking things too far. Prudes who are putting grifting and profit above their true moral standard. It's not about moral prudeness, and I even said Melanie Mack herself even switched out the words um, "corn with corn" to continue to have the video remain under YouTube's monetization. Again, putting monetization above her own moral crusade, Christianity, and like Jesus Christ, in my humble opinion. So yeah, in closing, these two just saw an opportunity where they could be contrarians, where they could drive up a shitload of hate watchers so they can grift that. And if it's one thing that Jim, Mr. Medicare, was right, is that the culture war shit is all gay, and there's people exploiting even religion, Christianity, and this whole situation of gamergateism to line their pockets and to grift. Do you think these two really actually give a shit? I mean, these two people both play games that depicts a lot of on-screen violence and murder. See, like trying to moralize shit about video games, regardless of how you think you're in the right, is like really, really gay. And yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. These two should shut the fuck up while they're at it. And I'm gonna make a prediction about this. When the heat gets too hot for these two, I'm gonna bet they're gonna say it's because of Christian persecution. Um, but no, they gave a shitty take, a shitty unpopular take, and people are up in arms about it, and they should be, because gaming for the better part of its existence has been under attack by prudes and politicians. Politicians are still trying to ban and tax video games, and they've even been successful in some places. Censorship in Australia, New Zealand, Germany, and other parts of the country is so gamers by and large. When you give an inch for someone's prudeness, they'll take a mile. And the main point here isn't because most gamers are a bunch of gooning perverted degenerates. We see what's happening to the gaming industry in other parts of the world, and we don't want any of that. Regardless of how bad it is, or how degenerate, or how goony, perverted it may be, once censorship starts, it's hard to wind that back, if you can even wind it back at all. And if it's one thing that those two chucklefucks should know, is that once you start censorship in any kind, even how justified it may be, it's hard to rewind it back. And once that starts, then you have it's fish in a barrel censorship. Then you end up being like Australia, New Zealand, and some of these European countries where they openly censor video games and tell game developers to take and remove stuff out. So it's not that all gamers are a bunch of gooning degenerates, meat beaten weirdos. It's because we're sick and tired of people moralizing about video games to censor our hobby and the games we play, no matter what perceived moral issue there is. So with that, I'll end that here. That's my final rant about it. And that's what GoonerGate is. It's there's section within GamerGate now. It's a new issue where even people who are usually right of center, or even hard right, whatever you want to perceive it, trying to take up what is essentially the right slant of Anita Sarkeesian and GamerGateism. Because I guess we got bored winning too much against the Gamer Gators, Anita Sarkeesian, Sweet Baby Games, that now we have to turn the guns on ourselves or at each other, because we got to make that sweet grifting money, baby. Anyways,